fan because I called his coming out fight against Bradis Prescott.
He's
and
special.
then various other stepping stones throughout his career.
I also think he's one of those guys that if you tell him he can't do something, he wants to show you and shock the world.
1,000%. Absolutely right.
I also think Canelo is slowing down.
I didn't give Canelo more than like 3 rounds.
Yeah.
Maybe 4 if I'm just being generous.
You know, becoming the first undisputed world champion in the 4-belt era in 3 different weight classes. Really, and the way he did it, and you know, the class that he showed.
Rogan shared his reaction to Terence Crawford's victory over Canelo Alvarez, noting how Crawford seems to perform at his absolute best when people doubt him. Rogan explained that whenever critics suggest Crawford can't overcome a challenge, it only sharpens his drive to prove them wrong. He highlighted Crawford's smooth technique, sharp accuracy, and timing, tools that allowed him to display both power and skill under the sport's brightest spotlight. Meanwhile, sports personality Bont Hill stirred debate on social media by tweeting, "I'm convinced Crawford would beat any version of Floyd Mayweather." While a bold statement, it reflects just how highly Crawford's performance is now being valued within the boxing community. His win over Canelo has elevated his legacy to unprecedented heights, with many questioning whether he could surpass even the flawless record of Mayweather. Crawford's dominance across multiple weight divisions, paired with his remarkable adaptability inside the ring, explains why such comparisons are gaining serious attention.
Get ready to subscribe totally to that because, again, you're talking about somebody who is stubborn.
And
who wants to prove everything he can prove.
100%. I agree with that too. But I think in boxing and certainly in MMA, there's a certain amount of years where a fighter can keep the RPMs up. And, you know, when they're in the red line, and there's some people subscribe to the idea of 9 years. 9 years is the most that a elite fighter in MMA has performed at their prime. I think that's a bullshit number because I think it's entirely dependent upon lifestyle, nutrition, discipline, physical attributes. There's a lot of factors.
George Foreman won the heavyweight championship of the world in boxing at age 45.
True, but he took 10 years off.
Yeah.
Gareth, offering his perspective as a commentator, emphasized that Terence Crawford delivered one of the finest performances the sport has ever seen. He noted how Crawford didn't just step up to fight Canelo, he climbed 3 weight divisions, was actually older than his opponent, and returned after more than a year away from competition. Despite those hurdles, Crawford displayed total control, technical brilliance, and calmness under pressure that only a handful of fighters in history have ever matched. Gareth underlined that fans should see this as a rare, generational showcase of greatness, proving Crawford's ability to rise above every disadvantage. Meanwhile, Shakur Stevenson took to X to show respect for Canelo. He wrote that too many fighters in the game avoid facing true challenges, but Canelo has never shied away from testing himself against elite opponents. Shakur saluted him for putting his legacy on the line repeatedly, calling him a legend. His message reminded fans that greatness isn't defined only by victories, but also by the willingness to take risks and meet the best head-on.
Throughout the course of the week, we said that this is a game of IQ. There's going to be movement within the fight. You're going to have to answer different types of questions and bring different types of game plan. Crawford did that. He was able to do it backwards. He was able to do it forwards. He could trade in the pocket, catch the stuff, and then counter. He was absolutely magnificent. Listen, I know this is raw and we've only just walked out the stadium, right?
10 minutes ago.
And when the dust settles on this, we'll probably have better answers and better thought processes. And I'm sure people watching this will get stuck into the comments and maybe say what I'm about to say is quite outlandish. That might be the single best performance that I have ever witnessed live. It was absolutely tremendous. You've got to take into consideration the weight jump. This is a man that was champion at 135, 140, 147, and obviously recently at 154. But let's be honest, he even jumped up to 154 pounds for that. To go then up to 168 and take on the former pound-for-pound #1 king on a Mexican holiday weekend in Las Vegas and managed to beat him on the cards when the judges tried to do him. Mate, it is out of this world what Terence Crawford just did. And he needs all the flowers in the world, he needs all the praise in the world. And I don't think you're wrong, mate, by saying he's the pound-for-pound #1. It's an ever-moving list. That performance alone deserves to put him right at the top of the
Yeah, he's become... There's an argument that he becomes an all-time great with that performance, like you say, because the majesty, the poise, the presence all week, the pinpoint accuracy of everything he did in there to the fact that in the end, Canelo was frustrated and knew he couldn't do anything to Crawford, and he started
visibly frustrated, wasn't it?
No, visibly frustrated that he started to do a weird kind of showboating because he didn't have any answers for what was happening and unfolding in front of him. I think Terence Crawford has rubber-stamped himself as an all-time great tonight, and I want to revise a view on him. I wondered whether he would have been capable of beating Floyd Mayweather at welterweight.
Oh, you're going for it now, aren't you?
And I think, yeah, we got to. I think he may well have done.
Paulie Malignaggi stressed that Crawford's accomplishment was truly historic. Securing undisputed status in 4 separate weight classes is an extremely rare feat, and doing it against Canelo made it even more remarkable. Malignaggi drew a parallel between Crawford's commanding victory and Floyd Mayweather's dominance during his own time, suggesting this moment signals the dawn of Crawford's era. His remarks highlighted that the triumph was far more than another win. It represented a turning point in the sport, establishing Crawford as the standout figure of his generation.
Flawless. I mean, Terence Crawford has had an amazing career against a lot of very good fighters and world-class fighters, and honestly has barely lost a round. When you look back at Bud Crawford's career, there is something really special. It's one of those things now, because now I've now seen back-to-back generations of Floyd Mayweather and Bud Crawford, and man, you know, it's one of those things where now I understand why the people that lived in the Ray Leonard era say, you know, wish we could see Ray Leonard against Mayweather, and how that would be. Because it just leaves such an empty feeling when you have such special fighters that were in different generations, and you saw both of them. You know, I saw the entirety of the Mayweather generation. I saw the entirety of the Bud Crawford generation. Just incredible. Really, really incredible. And I know Mayweather gets a lot of hate, but for me, he's a tremendous fighter. And Terence Bud Crawford is in that realm as well. And it's a fight we'll never get to see. So what are we going to do? You know, it'll be up to the fantasy fights, you know. But let's get into it, man. I want to get into the undercard as well and some of my thoughts on the Netflix show. But let's get into the main event first. Crawford really boxed very, very well, very, very intelligently. The question mark was what happens when Crawford gets hit cleanly. I'm not sure he got hit cleanly at the whole fight. You know, he got hit with some partial shots. Some shots landed cleanly, but by the time Canelo started landing anything cleanly, I think he was hesitant because he was getting countered so much that he was taking some of the steam off the shots in order to hope to be more accurate. Because even late in the fight, there were a couple of shots that Canelo landed, but they barely moved.
Devin Haney's blunt reaction captured the extent of Crawford's dominance. He brushed aside the notion that Canelo controlled much of the contest, stating he could hardly award him more than 3 or 4 rounds at most. Haney's words served both as an evaluation and a subtle challenge, underscoring how clear Crawford's victory looked. His take also hinted that even elite young champions now view Canelo as no longer the untouchable powerhouse he had been in years past.
You score it, Devin. I didn't give Canelo more than like 3 rounds. Yeah. Maybe 4 if I'm just being generous.
Can't get away from this
Maybe
fucking
4.
crowd.
Are you shocked or not?
Hey, right here to my left.
Are you shocked or not? No, I'm not shocked. I knew that if you kind of fight.
One fan posted, "Real competitors are always champions. There's no defeat in chasing true glory. Congratulations to Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. Tonight, the spirit of warriors prevailed." The message reflected admiration for both men, reminding everyone that greatness is defined not only by winning, but by the courage to fight at the highest level. Bill Haney echoed this respect, while noting that Crawford's dismantling of Canelo seemed even simpler than his win over Errol Spence. He explained that he had foreseen this result, emphasizing Crawford's brilliance. By comparing it to the Spence bout, Haney highlighted how Crawford continues to make elite opposition look easier to handle, each performance appearing sharper and more decisive than the one before.
So,
Exactly. And you guys knew what was going to happen. You were in denial. That shit looked easier than Earl Spence. Did look, huh?
it's a brilliant performance. Brilliant
Great
performance.
performance, man. Shout out to Team Crawford, Bo Mack, and that whole team, man. You know what I mean?
Where'd you rank him all-time list after that?
I mean, put his face on Mount Rushmore. You get what I'm saying? He deserves his place, for sure.
Did you score it, Bill?
Yeah, I scored it a lot for Crawford and a very little for Canelo. If any, I don't know.
116, 112.
I don't know. I mean, I could pick
14,
I could pick
113
one or
was
two.
ridiculous.
I could pick one or two in there or something like that.
I know it's straight after the fight. But do you want to see Crawford go out on that, or do you think there'll be a rematch?
I don't hear a bunch of parties going on. I listen. It sounds like a funeral home in Allegiant Stadium. Did Crawford win? It sounds like it's a funeral home. Look, you see over there. You see it's quiet. It's quiet as shit. Yeah. Is it a holiday or what? Oh my God. Oh my God. Listen, that's a Crawford fan. He's Mexican. Now, listen. Hey, y'all know what's up. Crawford did it. And only person that's talking is me. November 22nd. If you don't want to hear nothing else, Crawford is great. November 22nd.
One fan wrote, Crawford is older than Canelo and past his prime, yet he still beat him outright. No catchweights, no excuses. He came up 3 divisions and won fair and square. That reaction summed up the magnitude of the achievement, showing that despite age and the challenge of moving up in weight, Crawford proved himself the better man on the night. The win left no room for alibis, securing its place as one of boxing's greatest moments. Analysts agreed that the stakes went beyond titles. This was about legacy. Whoever prevailed would be remembered as the defining fighter of the era. With Crawford's victory, he seized that mantle. Experts emphasized how flawlessly he executed the strategy, shutting down Canelo's strengths while showcasing every aspect of his own skill set. The conversation quickly moved away from whether Crawford belonged among the all-time greats to determining exactly where he ranks in the sport's history.
You need rehydrate, you need this. No, you don't. If you're actually a man who is willing to, challenge himself and not a little boy who's afraid, then yeah, you can do it. You can absolutely do it. And Terence Crawford did it, and he did it damn well. Credit to Terence Crawford. Absolutely. Honestly, I'm still, because for me, although I was picking Canelo Alvarez to win this fight, and although I've been a fan of Canelo Alvarez for many, many years, he was one of the main guys who got me into boxing. I have loved Terence Crawford, loved watching him fight for years and years and years. I remember staying up at the time, and I actually made sure to get the HBO feed to get his fight with Victor Postal. And I remember, it wasn't one of his more entertaining fights, but I remember just being just in awe of the skill and ability of Terence Crawford at the time. I remember Bob Arum, they're both run by Top Rank, when people were saying, oh, could Loma fight Terence Crawford? And Bob Arum said that would be suicide. It would have been suicide, could you imagine? Good Lord. I can't put into words how happy I am to be proven wrong, because I love watching Terence Crawford. I think he is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And it's really fitting, right? I love Canelo Alvarez, right? But it's really fitting that at the top of boxing, we have 2 of the most honest champions, honest men you could ever see, you could ever imagine. And that being Alexander Usyk and Terence Crawford, 2 friends. And I think they really sum up this era of boxing. If we are coming to the end of it as a whole, I think they really sum it up that if you're dedicated to your profession and you're willing to stay disciplined and you're willing to...
Joe Rogan reacted with real passion after the fight, declaring that Crawford had shown himself to be the more complete boxer than Canelo. He noted that Crawford isn't just a sharp puncher, but also brings the mindset and adaptability of a wrestler, which adds a unique layer to his game. Rogan stressed how remarkable it was for Crawford to jump in weight and still dominate such a dangerous opponent, calling it a historic leap that stands alongside the great moments in boxing. In his eyes, Crawford achieved something even beyond what past legends like Hagler managed, solidifying his status among the sport's elite with a near-perfect performance.
I don't know. It's a big jump to go from 54, which was a step up from 47. Right,
now
so it goes to 54, and now he's going to 68. That's so much weight.
A lot of weight.
But Terence I think he's the best switch hitter since Hagler.
They claim Hagler was my favorite.
At the same time, one fan pointed out how Jake Paul wasted no time mocking Canelo Alvarez online, calling him a lying weirdo after the loss to Terence Crawford. The jab reflected Paul's ongoing rivalry with boxing's biggest names and his constant push to stay in the spotlight. On a more serious note, Roy Jones Jr., a legend in his own right, praised Crawford's performance as something extraordinary. He described Crawford as special, saying no fighter today can measure up after such a display. Coming from someone with Jones's legacy, those words carried major weight, making it clear that Crawford's triumph was more than just a win. It was the kind of defining moment that cements a fighter's place in history.
Story. I spoiled it kind of like they had it. It was a very close fight coming down to the last 2 rounds, but Bud put him out. And he fought very smart. He let Canelo wear himself down early, and then he started fighting late. This was very smart.
Not many people gave Bud a chance, but he dominated in there tonight. Do you see anyone from this era beating Terence Crawford?
No, nobody's gonna beat him.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna beat him.
What makes him so special?
The fact that he's fought on both sides, and he's a winner at heart. His heart is everything.
With the scorecards right, 2 judges gave it to him by 1 round.
Yeah, it was close to a fight. It all depends on what you like. Well, if you like Canelo's aggression, you gave it to him by like 1 or 2 rounds. But if you like boxing, Bud won by a few more rounds.
What should both guys do next?
What?
What should both guys do next?
I mean, Canelo probably got to go back and decide what he wants to do. Bud, if I was Bud, I would just be tired. Who gonna top what he did?
Jai Opetaia admitted that Crawford's win didn't shock him at all. He explained that he was already aware of the relentless determination and immense talent Crawford brought into the ring. In his eyes, Crawford's blend of mental grit and technical brilliance made the result feel inevitable. Opetaia's remarks highlighted how even fellow fighters acknowledge the depth of Crawford's drive, showing that his mindset is every bit as powerful as his physical skill set.
On points, bro, crazy.
How did you have it?
I had him up, bro, convincingly. Awesome fight. Awesome. Hey, science of the sport. This guy adapts. I knew it.
How did you know he was going to win? Why?
He's got too much ammunition. You know, southpaw, orthodox, on the back foot. That's what changes good from great, is knowing how to adapt. You know, back foot, front foot, that's the difference.
Devin Haney said he wants him to retire after that. Do you agree with that?
Devin Haney's Devin Haney. You know, where is he? You know, what's he doing? So,
what do you think of it? Do you want Crawford to retire or you want him to continue?
Hey, he's doing well. It's been good. Hey, what a performance.
Johnny Fisher's reaction echoed the thoughts of many fans. He questioned why there should be talk of retiring Crawford after such a masterful performance. Fisher called the bout a generational clash, insisting that Crawford still has plenty left to contribute to the sport. His words struck a chord with supporters who felt they were witnessing history in real time and weren't ready for it to end. Instead of focusing on retirement, Fisher shifted the conversation toward the potential of what more Crawford can accomplish.
Feel great, etched himself in boxing history right now, and to go up for them 2 weight divisions, unbelievable to do it. Someone like Canelo, I've never seen Canelo have that body language at the end of a fight where he's shaking his head. So credit to both men.
Would you like to see Canelo retire now?
Yeah, of course. I think Shakur's just knocking on the door to fight Canelo.
You don't think he should retire now, Canelo?
No. He's up to him. That's his own personal discretion. He's making millions and millions of dollars, and he will continue to make millions of dollars. He's not been destroyed. He's not concussed. He's just big John shouting out some of the friends. Yeah, it's all about himself, that man.
Devin Haney said he wants to see Terence Crawford retire now. Do you agree?
All the people are saying retire. Why are we trying to retire these great fighters before their time? If they're enjoying it and they're fit to do it, let them continue. Why are we trying to get rid of them? We need them.
A fan pointed out that even in defeat, Canelo's status as one of the best remains untouched, noting that losing only to Mayweather and Crawford is hardly a blemish, but rather proof of the elite company he has always kept. The comment reflected deep respect for Canelo's legacy, while also highlighting Crawford's extraordinary rise. From starting his career at lightweight, 135 lbs, to capturing titles at 140, 147, and now 168, Crawford's journey is one of the most remarkable in modern boxing. Very few fighters have ever managed to move up through so many divisions while carrying their speed, accuracy, and punching power with them. That ability to adapt and excel across weight classes has secured his place among boxing's all-time greats, not just as a champion in one division, but as a dominant force across the spectrum.
Terence Crawford beats Canelo Alvarez by unanimous decision, Terence Crawford does the impossible by becoming the first boxer in history to be undisputed in 3 different weight classes, 140, 147, and 168 pounds. He started out as a 135-pound champion and made it all the way up to 168 pounds, beating the undisputed champion Canelo Alvarez, who's one of the greatest fighters of our generation. Tonight, Terence Crawford looked stronger, looked faster, he looked like he had higher IQ. He was just dominant the whole fight. His natural counterpunching instincts and just fight awareness, fight IQ, he did everything perfect. Like I predicted, Terence Crawford was going to give him problems and Canelo was going to get frustrated, but I didn't think it was going to be that dominant. Every time Canelo threw one punch, Terence Crawford hit him with 3, 4, 5 blistering hard shots. Terence Crawford will go down as one of the top 5 pound-for-pound best fighters in the history of boxing.
Crawford's victory over Canelo will be remembered as a boxing masterclass. He systematically broke down a fighter admired for power, timing, and toughness, making it seem effortless. Each round displayed sharper tactics, constant adjustments, and accurate punching. By the finish, the bout was no longer about strength, but about skill. Crawford showed he was competing on a completely higher level. This dominant display stood as the ultimate declaration of his greatness.
So breaking news, 2 huge fights have been finalized for late 2025, and Errol Spence versus Jermell Charlo in negotiations for early 2026. So the first fight announced is Lamont Roach versus Isaac Pitbull Cruz in December 2025. Roach, he obviously deserved the Tank rematch, but Tank instead he's taking the Jake Paul fight. So Roach, he's gonna stay active and take on Cruz. And who knows, the winner of this fight, it probably should get Tank next. Next fight, Errol Spence versus Jermell Charlo is being negotiated for early 2026. All the details are still being finalized, but both guys making their return after 2.5 years. Charlo since losing to Canelo, Spence since losing to Crawford, and this is a great rebound test for both guys. Next fight, Naoya Inoue versus Alan Picasso for December 27th in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Inoue making his Saudi debut, and that'll be his 4th undisputed fight this year. Obviously, he's got to get past Muradjan Akhmadaliev this Sunday, but if he can get past Akhmadaliev, it sets up the Picasso fight in December. Also on the co-main event of the Naoya Inoue card in December will be Junto Nakatani. He'll be making his 122-pound debut against a top contender, and the plan is if both guys win their fights in December, they'll fight next May in Japan for undisputed.
That wraps up today's video.